I'm back with my second Cheap Trick review, their second album, and the very first one I ever heard. If you want to hear the story how I first heard this album, check out the Cheap Trick Tube introduction, and I talk about what a freaky, weird way to be introduced to a band. Amazing story. You got to check it out. So let's go into it. This is from 1977. This is In Color and Black and White. In Color. This one was produced by Tom Werman, because the first album only went to, didn't even hit the top 100, it stayed down in the 200s. So they went in and did a more polished version of an album, which the band really regrets. They really bashed this album a lot, but you know, like I said in the last review, I have a hard time picking what's my favorite album. The first one, this one, Heaven Tonight or Dream Police. It's kind of like, I can't make up my mind. So last month I was like, fuck it, it's gonna be this one. Well, this month it's this one. This is my favorite Cheap Trick album, but that probably will change the next episode. I absolutely love this album. When they finished the first album, they did a lot of tours with like Ted Nugent and Queen and a bunch of other bands, and they were recording the album and they went back on the road, I think with Kiss, and they just were a touring machine back then. And these songs mostly are written by Rick Nielsen, and some are pre-Cheap Trick songs, and I will get into them when I get into them, so I should get into them. What the hell did I just say? Fuck it, here's track one. The ultimate opening track, and a song that Cheap Trick would use as an opening song for many years to come. And the story behind this is that when they used to open for bands, they didn't have much time to sound check, and they would just sound check this song. It's a quick, short song, and this is how they would start the shows, and it's a great way to start the show. You know, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and then it has that killer guitar solo, which I talk about on the Cheap Trick 2 introduction video. You should watch it. And I just absolutely love this song. It's very short, it's to the point, and it rocks. And I love Would You Like to Do a Number With Me? That number means a joint, you know? And numbers come up later on. The next album they talk about numbers again, which are joints. Would you like to do a number with me? I absolutely love Hello There. So let's go to the next track. Big Eyes. This song ain't about big eyes. This actually is a song about big tits. But man, you want to talk about one of the greatest Cheap Trick songs, hands down, it's Big Eyes. It's just such a great rockin' tune, and that middle section, that and Rick's fucking demonic guitar, sounds like the devil coming out of the speakers, and the way fucking Robin's just like screaming to the chicks, it's not the way you look, no, it's not the color of your hair. It's just fucking awesome, amazing song, and made it on the Budokan album. So what can I say more than Big Eyes that I have not already just said? Love it. Next track. Down. What an amazing song. Starts off mellow. I love that guitar sound in this. And Rick wrote this song even before he was in Cheap Trick. Back when he used to fantasize and moving to Australia. That you hear that in the lyrics. And I talked about in episode 1 where the movie Over the Edge features Speak Now. Well, it also features this song. I think it features Hello there as well. Bunch of Cheap Trick songs in that movie. You should definitely check it out. But anyway, Down is an amazing song. A definite fucking a standout track on here. And boy, a song that they should play more live. Yes, I have seen them play it maybe like a handful of times live, but it's a song I would welcome every goddamn Cheap Trick show. Love it. Let's go to the next one. I Want You to Want Me. Now, as I talked about on the first episode, this song was recorded for the first album. It didn't make it, so here they redid it, and Tom Werman made it very, very spit shine. And I told you in the first episode what I think of this one, and you know, the majority thinks like I do. I think this is terrible. I think this version's terrible. I'm not the biggest fan of I Want You to Want Me. I mean, it's a good ditty song, and actually live, it's a good toe tapper. It's not and it really gets people going because everybody knows I Want You to Want Me. But you know, it's just one of those songs that, you know, kind of like Thin Lizzy's The Boys Are Back in Town. Thin Lizzy's got so much great music, but only people know The Boys Are Back in Town. And a lot of people just know Surrender, I Want You to Want Me, and Dream Please, which is unfortunate because they have such better songs. Like Down and like Big Eyes, you know? The two songs before this are way better than I Want You to Want Me, but you know, it's a great ditty. And on this version, there is a guest player that plays on it. His name is Joe Graydon, I believe. Joe Graydon plays on the beginning and the ending of the song, which would go on to be one of the signature songs of Cheap Trick, and exploded in Japan. But actually there's a song on here, On In Color, that even went bigger in Japan. That's why they went to Japan, because they were huge stars because of two songs off this album. Because you guys got to remember that that Budokan album was recorded before Heaven Tonight came out. Even though there are Heaven Tonight songs on that album, it wasn't out yet. So they went over there on the strength of the In Color album, and they played Budokan. Budokan's a huge fucking place. So you know how huge it was. What song is it? Well, we'll get to it when we get to it. But for now, let's get to the next one. Youre All Talk. Now this again was another song that was recorded for the first album and was featured as a bonus track on the reissue. I guess I'm just used to this version. I know that the original version is much more, you know, grittier and dirtier, but I don't know, there's something about this In Color version I think just is the essential version for me. For me, I think this is the best version of the song. It was later on Music for Hangovers. It's a rockin' song. Every version of it's great, but my preference is the In Color version of Youre All Talk. I just think it's fucking awesome. I love that the drum beat and that killer riff and that the way the bass comes in on that song, and Robin's delivery on the song, just fucking screaming his ass off. Absolutely love Youre All Talk. It's a great fucking heaviest song on this album, I would say. This and Big Eyes. Absolutely love it. And that ends side one, so let's flip it around to side two. Yes, there is a side one and side two on this one. There ain't no shenanigans going on here. So let's start with side two. Oh Caroline. Now, like the first album, Oh Candy, this one has Oh Caroline, and yeah, the next album has another Oh song in it as well. And this one's a really cool fucking great song, actually. It's a great melodic power pop tune. And then, you know, there's a live version of it. I think it's on Music for Hangovers, where it ends with that riff. Who was it? Was it the Yardbirds? I can't remember. I think it was the Yardbirds. They had a song called For Your Love, and they ended the song with and you know, Oh Caroline says For Your Love a lot in it. This is kind of clever how they threw that in there. but that little riff is not in this studio version. The studio version is great. I really don't have a problem with this album at all, other than I Want You to Want Me. I dig the slick production. I dig the more poppy feel from the first album on this. I just think it gels great. I think Cheap Trick is the perfect pop rock band. You know, if anybody is like, you know, gonna be the greatest pop rock band in the world, it's fucking Cheap Trick, hands down. All right, let's go to the next one. Clock Strikes 10. I think this song would have been better to end the album, like it does on Budokan. It's such a good ender, so I think it's kind of wrong placement here, but this is like traditional, like, you know, 50s rock and roll, but with a 70s twist to it. And I just love how Robin is like, you know, gonna get down, gonna get on down. Version is great, but the essential version for me is the Live at Budokan. That fucking rules. And this is the song that went #1 in Japan. This is the one that opened the floodgates for Cheap Trick in Japan. That's why it was like the encore, the last song they played of the night, because it was the big hit that broke them in Japan. And I absolutely loves Clock Strikes 10. It's a little neutered here. I still dig it. But yeah, it does sound neutered. When you hear the Budokan version and then this version, you kind of like, yeah, man, it sounds like the balls were snipped on this. But other than that, I still like it. I like this testosterone-free song version of it. All right, let's go to the next one. Southern Girls. What a great, great pop song. Again, power pop at its finest right here. Ooh baby, got some brand new shoes. I just love everything, the clapping on it. It's just a cool summertime song, you know. I just can blast this on the beach and look at chicks in bikinis. That's what I think, that's the vision I get when I listen to this song. Hot chicks on the beach. Absolutely love this song. And Rick said he wrote this way back in the day, way back before Cheap Trick. And he wrote this about Canadian people, believe it or not, which is weird. No, that Rick, he's an oddball, but boy, Southern Girls, again, one of the greatest Cheap Trick songs, and one of the best songs on here. Love it. Let's go to the next one. Come on, absolutely love this song. I think it's placed wrong though. This should have been after Oh Caroline, or maybe even on side 1, and put like Clock Strikes 10 at the end. But great fucking pop song. The second song on the Budokan album, even though I believe when they played it live it was Hello Kitties, but on the version we all know, it's Come On, Come On. What a great, great song. Total fucking pop rock. Sends a bit of early Beatles vibe to it. And it's just a beautifully orchestrated pop rock classic. This is pure Cheap Trick right here. This song encompasses the magic of Cheap Trick when they get poppy. Love it. Next track, final track. So Good to See You. Now this is a song that goes way back to a band that Rick and Tom had called, or was it Rick and Bun? I forgot. They had a band called Sick Men of Europe that you all know later on that album latest. They have a song called Sick Men of Europe. They actually had a band called that, and this is a song from that era, even though back then it wasn't called So Good to See You. It was called I'm a Surprise, but it's still very similar as I'm reading in this book here, but I've never heard that version. So if anybody has that version, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear some Sick Men of Europe. You know, I have a bunch of you know, rare Cheap Trick tunes from back in the day, like Hot Tomato and Disco Paradise and stuff like that, but I've never heard Sick Men of Europe. And yes, I own the Fuse album. Hey, maybe one day I'll review that when I run out of Cheap Trick albums to review. But yeah, so good to see you. Came out on Music for Hangovers, where basically Music for Hangovers, where they were playing these shows where they were playing the first three albums in its entirety, and they were taking the best tracks from each night. And this one made the cut, and I absolutely love the song. And I love how Robin holds that note at the very end for a long fucking time. The fucking freak of nature, I'm telling you. So there you have it. That's my review of In Color and Black and White. Now, where's the CD? The CD brought bonus tracks, and one of the bonus tracks is a song called Oh Boy, which was a B-side for, I think it was a B-side for either I Want You to Want Me, or maybe it was Clock Strikes 10. And, but it has no vocals to it. It's an instrumental where I actually have a recording with the vocals, so I don't understand why they never did release it with the vocals. But I understand why they put it on here, because it was a B-side. And what else is on here? Southern Girls, an earlier version of that one. And Come On, Come On as well. Youre All Talk is a live version, which is pretty cool. And it ends with Good Night Now, which is pretty much Hello There, changing the, instead of Hello There, good night, ladies and gentlemen, it's Good Night Now, ladies and gentlemen. And the rest of the song is the same, you know, doing numbers. And yeah, there you go. So that's what I got to say about this fucking classic album, the very first album I ever bought. And boy, I remember like this fucking picture, man. The very first time I saw Cheap Trick, there was a guy outside with bootleg shirts, and this was on it. And I bought it, and I think that shirt lasted me like maybe 6 months. I'm probably being modest, probably even less than that. But shirts back then were just deteriorating. But I ended up getting something similar. See? Anyway, so there you go. Next month, I'm gonna review Heaven Tonight, which, goddamn, I think that's the best Cheap Trick album. I'll have to wait till next month to make up my mind. But as of this month, it's this one. Last month it was the first one. See you next time, man. Cheap Trick rules. And those who don't think they rule, I feel bad for you. Your life is not as joyous as us Cheap Trick fans. It's true. It's fucking science. It is the truth. If you don't get this shit, you're not as happy as I am. See you next time.